two beings making out. Chobei wonders if they are monsters, and the yellow one named Jufa becomes angry at them for spoiling the mood. Gabimaru wonders if the residents of the island are friends or foes. He sees a girl spying on them, so he runs after her. He catches up to her, removing her hood, and he is surprised to see she is a child. A tree monster suddenly takes a swing at him, and the girl continues to run away. Gabimaru chases after her, thinking she knows something about the island. He dodges the tree's attack and kicks it away, while Sagiri rushes after him, leading their companions to deal with the creature. Yuzuri removes Senna's glasses, saying she doesn't want him to see her techniques, as she drinks from a cup, causing strange liquid to come out of her body. Gabimaru catches up to the girl, grabbing onto her hand, but the girl throws him to the ground, which surprises him, because a child shouldn't be able to perform such a move on him. Sagiri runs after the girl, telling her they just want to talk, and this causes her to stop, letting Sagiri catch up to her. The girl suddenly tries to punch her, but Gabimaru blocks the attack. He notes that the girl's strength is on another level, as the blow causes him to take a few steps back. Gabimaru tells her he's in a desperate situation, as he grabs onto some vines, wrapping them around the girl and suspending her in midair. The girl starts crying, so they release her, and Sagiri calms her down. Yuzuri joins them, telling them she worked hard to defeat the creature. They gather around to discuss what to do next, when the tree creature tells them to return the girl, as it offers to take them to the village and tell them about the elixir. Yuzuri doesn't trust the creature, but it mentions they have a bath in their village, which instantly makes her change her mind. The creature takes them to the village, which looks like a ghost town, and it tells them it wasn't like this 1,000 years ago. It takes them to its house, where Yuzuri takes a bath with Sagiri, while the monster gives the men some food. Gabimaru is suspicious, asking the monster about the island and the elixir. They gather around the food, as the creature reveals that the island is called Kotaku, and it's an island where gods reside. The monster confirms that the elixir exists, telling them about the legend where it is known as Tan. Gabimaru asks about its location, so the monster draws 3 circles on the floor, saying they are now in the second circle, and the elixir is somewhere at the center of the island, which is known as Horahai. Gabimaru asks for proof that the elixir exists, and the creature tells them they won't doubt his story once they meet the Tensen, which are beautiful and immortal creatures. We see Chobei after he has cut Jufa in half, but the body regenerates, and he is as good as new. The tree claims that the Tensen are completely on another level, explaining it has no reason to lie, because they are all going to end up killed by the Tensen. The brothers are defeated by Jufa, and they are thrown into a pit, which is filled with humans that have transformed into flowers. Toma helps his brother as he regains consciousness, and the tree reveals how the lives of those transformed into flowers become the source of Tan, and the people feel eternal bliss. It introduces itself as Hako, and the girl is Mei, and reveals they have been living on the island for centuries. After that, Gabimaru and Sagiri go to the bathroom, where they run into Mei. She cries at first, but Gabimaru says everyone just shares the bath in his village. Sagiri notices a huge scar on Mei's body, and Gabimaru remembers how his wife told him about the importance of getting proper rest, as she helped him take a bath. He tells Mei not to be ashamed of her scars, because the most beautiful woman he knows has a large scar, saying appearances don't matter, and Sagiri is surprised hearing this. As they walk away, Gabimaru remembers his priorities, thinking he doesn't have time to sit around chatting. In a flashback, we see that Tenza was raised in the slums, and his parents never fed him well, so he had no choice but to steal from other people to survive. One day, he bumps into a group of swordsmen who look down at him, so he ends up beating them up, but they are saved when an executioner named Shion interferes. Back in the present, Tenza walks around the shore with Narugai, when a Tensen named Zujin suddenly approaches them. It transforms into a man, and asks them about all the dead monsters, wondering if they are the ones responsible. They try to run away, but Zujin immediately catches up to them, blasting Tenza away with a pulse of energy. Narugai quickly backs away, making her way to the downed Tenza. As Zujin walks to her, Tenza suddenly slashes his eyes, but it instantly regenerates. Tenza tells Narugai they're going to escape, as he unleashes a combo, slicing Zujin into pieces, before giving the signal to run. As they run, Zujin blocks their path as he regenerates, but Shion suddenly throws his sword at Zujin, giving the duo time to escape. We learn that although Shion is blind, he can see through his other senses. They are able to get away, and we learn that Shion is Tenza's master. Shion says he was about to go home, but he couldn't find a current that leads out of the island. He says he eventually found a current that leads out, but he sensed a presence like nothing he had ever experienced before. Knowing there is only so much he can do alone, he decided to look for allies on the island, but he asks Tenza why he is helping Nurugai, as he reveals how he executed the criminal that tried to seduce him. Tenza says Nurugai is innocent, reminding Shion how he took him in, as he vouches for the girl. Shion decides to listen to him, and he decides to take them to the current that he found, but Zujin suddenly appears behind the duo. Shion dashes to save them, but his neck starts bleeding. Tenza tries to attack Zujin, unleashing a powerful flurry of slashes, but Zujin easily dodges it, and counters with a flick of his finger, creating 4 holes in Tenza's body. We see Tenza and Shion in another flashback, as Shion reveals how he likes to help people during his spare time, seeing potential in Tenza. He teaches Tenza how to wield a sword, telling him his sword skills will help him protect someone he cares about. Tenza thinks he has no potential, and he decides to quit, but Shion tells him he can only quit once he lands a hit on him. As he leaves the dojo, Tenza encounters Aizen, who wants to have a walk with him. Aizen takes him to the cemetery, where he shows Tenza the grave of Shion's former junior named Teshin. He lacked motivation like Tenza, and decided to leave the dojo, but he lived a life of crime because he struggled to feed himself, and in the end, Shion had to execute him, but this made him even more passionate about helping others and becoming a mentor. Aizen tells Tenza to land the blow on Shion, so he asks Shion to spar with him, and even though he keeps on losing, he refuses to give up. He eventually hits Shion, but he has already changed his mind, wanting to stay at the dojo with his master. Tenza knows he is about to die, but he has finally found something he wants to protect, so he gets back up and starts pounding Zujin with his fists. He tries to do everything he can to help his companions escape, but Zujin unleashes another energy blast, blowing a hole in his stomach. He tries to tell his companions to escape, but he can't because his throat has been damaged. Shion seems to understand what he's saying, and he runs away with Nurugai. Tenza continues to attack Zujin, and he fights to his last breath, giving the others time to escape. They mourn the death of Tenza, and Shion swears he will get revenge for him. Back at the village, Senda can't seem to make sense of the information they've gathered so far, and Sagiri tells him to take a break, but he refuses. That evening, Gabimaru remembers how it would be dangerous to act without a plan, because there are still too many mysteries they need to solve. But while Senda sleeps during his watch duty, Gabimaru leaves, trying to reach Horihai. He eventually stops as he hears weird voices, and he reaches an area full of strange trees, which appear to be praying. He goes in the direction they are facing, and he finds a giant door, which he thinks could lead to the elixir. But before he can open it, Zujin appears behind him, telling him to leave. He asks Zujin if he can turn humans into elixirs, and Zujin suddenly dashes to attack him, but Gabimaru swiftly responds, breaking his arm. He follows up with a powerful kick, breaking Zujin's neck, but it quickly snaps back into place. Gabimaru dodges Zujin's attacks, and counters with a spinning kick, using his fire technique to light his head on fire. The fire consumes Zujin's body, and Gabimaru thinks he has secured victory, but Zujin suddenly punches him, sending him crashing against the wall. Gabimaru survives the attack, and they continue their battle, as he assesses the situation, wondering how he can defeat the Tensen. He manages to land a kick, but it gives him a strange feeling, as Zujin coughs up blood, and he wonders why the attack was successful. Zujin changes to his female form, and he starts attacking with a barrage of energy blasts. Gabimaru is brought to his knees, but he is determined to succeed in his mission no matter what, so he tanks the blows as he dashes forward, allowing him to close the distance. They exchange blows, with neither of them backing down, as Gabimaru plans to destroy Zujin faster than he can heal, and he actually manages to overpower the Tensen, tearing his body apart. Zujin smiles as his body suddenly transforms into a giant flower monster, which uses a lightning spell, destroying the area around it. Gabimaru survives, and he tries to fight back, but he is no match for Zujin's lightning, and his body reaches its limit. The monster continues its assault, and he wakes up in a room with his wife, thinking he was just having a nightmare, but he realizes he is hallucinating since he is about to die. The monster grabs onto him as it proceeds to squeeze him to death, but he remembers how he was trained to inflict as much damage as possible before dying. So he unleashes fire from his body, burning the monster's arm before he falls to the ground. Zujin prepares to deal the finishing blow, but Mei appears and protects him with a shield, helping him escape. The next morning, the group searches for Gabimaru and Mei. Hako reveals that there are 7 Tensons, and we see them gathered in one location as they discuss how fierce the humans are. Jufa blames Zujin for failing to take down the humans, blasting his head off as he comments on Zujin's ugly appearance, seeing how he's been using too much Tao, and mocks him for using his transformation against a human. The ruler of Kotaku, Rien, stops Jufa, telling him they are a family, and he's the only one who can punish Zujin. Jufa reports how he threw the 2 brothers into the pit, thinking they should have already turned into flowers, but Rien thinks that the humans are different from the ones they have dealt with before, and we see that the brothers were able to escape from the pit. Zujin claims he was able to kill Gabimaru, and they all share a drink, which helps Zujin recover his human form. According to legend, there was a hermit who mastered their art and became a god split into 7 parts, which are now known as the Tensons. Hako tells this story to everyone, saying he learned it back when he was a child, as he claims he once looked human. He reveals how everyone on the island were humans who lived long lives, but they realized that despite their extended lifespan, they started transforming into trees, and this caused them to slowly lose awareness. But before they completely lost it, they gathered at a particular location to ensure that their souls would reach Horai after death, which explains why there were trees praying close to Horai. He further explains that Horai is the final resting place of souls, but the Tensons get to choose which souls will enter. Meanwhile, Gabimaru regains consciousness, and he recalls his encounter with Zujin, thinking there must be a way to defeat the Tenson. He realizes they are not gods, so they can be killed, but he needs to have a plan, knowing he can't do it alone. Fuchi and Tamiya suddenly arrive, as Tamiya comments on his condition, wondering if it's time for him to die. They size each other up, thinking about fighting, but Fuchi tells Tamiya they should focus on gathering information as he pulls out his sword, wanting to get some answers from Gabimaru without killing him. But Gabimaru bows before them as he proposes working together, and Tamiya tests him by threatening to strike him down, but Gabimaru doesn't move, so they know he's not trying